Hey, what is up, guys? I'm Exteria, and a lot of us know that Camille Reroll is probably one of the most powerful comps we can play in the current meta. But what do you do if you're heavily contested and you're playing the Camille board? Well, I got a comp for you, which is the Comeback Demon, Ekko. This comp allows you to tank a lot of HP because once you get Ekko 2-star, you're able to come back and probably get a first place with him. In order to understand on how to play Ekko, we have to understand on how to build Ekko. And his core item, and it's mandatory to build at least one of them, is to have a Hodge on Ekko. It allows him to gain sustain, it allows him to gain damage. And then the second one preferred would be another Hodge, but if you can't build that, you can put either Bloodthirster, a Jewel Gauntlet, Death Cap, or even Crown Guard is fine. And then third item should always be a Titans. The reason why you need the Titans because it allows him to get defense stats, and he can stack extra damage with this item. Good artifacts can be like Trench Cloak, Zonia's, Seeker's Arm Guard, and Blight and Jewel. This gives him a lot of damage or defense. Secondary carry is going to be a Smeesh, and his core items to have a Bloodthirster. I was not too mandatory to have, but it is really good on him. And his respective BIS items, which is like Hodge and Edge of Knights, and you can flex around with these items. You don't have to perfectly build this, you can just build whatever you see here. And then his respective artifacts. Scar is going to be your main tank, and the thing to note about him here is if you need a Magic Resist Shred item, Spark Poly might be the best to throw on him, so Ekko could do extra damage with Scar. And the good thing to note here with Artifact is having Horizon Focus on Scar will clear out the whole board since he stuns 3 units, and for each unit you stun, you do like a certain amount of HP, percent health damage to the enemy that he stuns. The emblems you want to pick up is either Firelight or Ambusher. And the good trick to choose which one you want is if you have Reforger, say for example you have a Spat, you can reforge it into a Pan, or vice versa. If you have Pan instead, you can reforge it into a Spat. So whichever one you want, just pick up that emblem. I'm going to briefly go over this since team builder will be easier to see, but first item slam is always a Hodge since it's Ekko's best item. If not, you can do a Bloodthirster or a Titan since you're going to need these two later. If you want to win streak early, Sunfire is really good ones, or you can slam tank items like Warmongs or even Claw. The reason why you don't want to build like Redemption and stuff like that because you kind of need the tier for the Hodges and you need the glove to make Hodges, so it's kind of also another reason why we're not making Steadfast hard here. The best opener I would say is Violet because she's super strong in the current meta in the early game, so she'll be a good Ekko item holder. And then you can put the tank items on either Darius or either Amumu, whichever one you get level 2. And Darius pairs up with Violet really well because of Pit Fighter, and you also get Conquer stacks with Darius and Draven to get more money. The default board would be units like Ekko. This would be the default board you want to play, and when you hit level 9, you throw out Caitlyn because it gives you more synergies like Sniper with Zeri, and you also get Enforcer with Camille, so it's not too bad to have. And she's pretty good emblem holder as well, and she also reduces resistances, so it helps Ekko do a little bit more damage. If you don't have a Jinx, you can play double Ekko instead, where you have 2 level 2 Echoes on the board. It's actually really powerful to do that. If you have a Firelight emblem, just throw it on Garen because it'll make him tankier. If you have an Ambusher emblem, throw it on Caitlyn, and then you could take out Powder and just have Rumble instead for a better unit. Now we're moving on to the team builder segment, so I can visually show you on how to play your openers and how to play the board. So first opener you can do is if you have a Camille drop, you can play her as the main carry. So if you have Ekko items, which is like Hodge, you can put it on her for now. And then we're gonna start with a Steb because we get Enforcer in, throw in a Trundle to get our Bruiser in, and to get our Ambusher in, we need Powder, and she also gets scrapped to Trundle. So if you have leftover items, say for example like tank items like Giant Spout, you can put it on Trundle so you get that scrap synergy going. And main position, I would like to do it like this. So this allows Camille to like go in this way or even walk around this way if she has to, and vice versa, you can do it this way as well, where she walks up this way. The reason why you want to put her in the second row is so she doesn't take too much damage and she can just dish out as much damage as you can. Over time when you play this board, you could throw in more bruisers, like for example Set or even a Rennie, so you can make your board a little bit more tankier so you can sustain. If you want to put in more power units, you can throw in like GP because extra backline, he's pretty decent too. Or if you get lucky along the way, maybe you might find a Smeech or something. So you can have like a Smeech, so you can have more ambushers in, and then maybe like, yeah, +1 bruiser, or you could throw in the GP like I mentioned earlier. Like, it's just whatever. As long as you flex around like GP with like bruisers and ambushers, this board should be strong enough to like make you last up to at least above 50 HP when you roll down to level 8. Another version we can do is if you can't find any Camille's, you can make Trundle as the Ekko item holder instead, and if we could just play full bruisers instead too, that also works as well. And you have GP as a backline, or you can even do Manny too instead, and then have an extra sniper, and this is basically a pretty decent opener as well if you have to. If you have like a high roll Urgot opener, you can do that as well, where you have Urgot and a Tristana, then you put the Ekko items on Urgot, because Urgot 2 would be very, very strong for this. And you can throw in whatever front line, like the two bruisers, like Trundle and Steb is fine. Or you could do the two washers like Darius and even Mumu is fine as well. Like whatever front line you can do so Urgot can stay alive. And then when you hit level 5 or something, or even 6, then you can throw in a pit fighter such as Draven would be really good with this board because you get Conquer as well to gain some extra econ a little bit. Or maybe you might be lucky and maybe find a Violet 2 instead. Or if you're finding like a higher tier unit, maybe you could do a GP backline. This also is also fine as well. The idea is just Urgot 2 with whatever front lines you can make. And Tristana is just good because of Artillerist, and she's also Emissary to give your board a little bit more attack speed. And then the final opener we can talk about, which is the one as shown on the unit page, is the Violet opener, where you have it with Violet, Darius, and the Mumu, and then the backline DPS would be Draven. This opener is probably like one of the best ones you can do, mainly due to because Violet can hold both the Hodges and Titans really well. And this synergy also gives you a lot of damage from Pit Fighter, get a lot of tank from Watcher, and you get econ from Conquer. So this is probably like the best version you can do it. Over time, you can throw in more Watcher units like Vander and even Scar. This is the reason why it's really good, because you use Scar later on down the line. If not, you can play maybe 3 Watchers and just have Powder in as well over the Amumu. So you can have extra defenses over time, so you can save HP, and this board is not too bad either. So these are the openers that we can play to get up to Ekko. You can do other openers too, but these ones I would say is the best ones to do. Once you hit level 8, then we can finally play the full board, which is having an Ekko over the Violet here, use the Garen over the Vander, the Smeech over the Darius, have a Camille in, a Jinx over the Draven, and then finally, because we can get our synergy in, we get Zeri in for the Firelight. So the synergies we get here is 5 Ambusher, 3 Firelight, 2 Scrap, 2 Washer, and 1 Emissary from Garen, and the positioning would be something like this positioning would be pretty good. The reason why frontline Powder is fine is because she's kind of useless anyways in the backline, to be honest. You can put Zeri in the middle or in the other opposite side of the corner. It's up to you. I like putting her in the middle because she moves around with Firelight. And Powder, you just want her to cast at least once for the anti-heal, and that's basically about it because she's kind of useless, to be honest. She also gets a shield from Ekko because of Scrap, so this is fine as well. But say, for example, if you don't have a Jinx, well, you can do 2 level 2 Echoes instead, and this is also really good as well. We could do the kind of positioning is fine. And if you have extra items, maybe like, for example, Bloodthirster from the Smeech, you could put it on Ekko as well. The other Ekko is fine. And when you hit level 9, then you can just throw in Jinx instead and play 2 level 2 Echoes. This is actually really powerful to do. But if you cannot get another Ekko, then you could just throw a Caitlyn instead at level 9, and this board would be fine as well. If you have a Firelight emblem, just throw it on Garen because it'll make him tankier. Then you have 4 Firelight, and it'll make your board zoom everywhere, which is very nice. If you have Ambusher Crest instead, just throw it on the Caitlyn. Say, for example, you don't have the Caitlyn, well, then we play level 8 board, just throw it on Zeri for now. Then level 9, we want to throw in a Caitlyn, transfer the emblem to Caitlyn because better units. And since we have over the limit, 6 out of 5 Ambusher, we want to use Rumble over the Powder and put Scar over here so we can save the Rumble. Technically, you kind of want to put Scar in the middle, but personally, I don't like Camille dying so easily, so I like putting Camille in the middle instead. But it's up to you which way you want to position. You could put Scar right here to help out the Ekko, because say, for example, you have Onyx Spark on the Scar. This distance will help Ekko to do extra damage since he will shred the magic resist within like all the units from here, but not all in the corner over here. But at least the rest of the units here will be magic resist shred. If you don't have it, then I would prefer this positioning is fine. And then to be honest, that's basically about it for this comp. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. If you have a fun, don't be afraid just to throw out 2 level 2 Echoes. 2 level 2 Echoes is always the way to go. And just put both the Echoes on Garen and you're fine. If you want to switch positionings, you can also do it this way as well. This is also fine. And if you have Spirit Soldier on Jinx, that's really goated, because if Jinx can get her rocket off, she will help clear the board with Echoes. For our augments, the one that you have to click no matter what, if you see it, to auto click would be Ambusher Crest. This allows you to cap the board even faster because getting Jinx is kind of hard. So if you get the Ambusher Crest, you're able to play 5 Ambusher to get a 15% damage reduction. Firelight Crest is not too bad either. It's like 50-50 if you want to auto click it or not, but it is really powerful in Ekko because same thing, it'll give him more damage reduction. And it says you need these emblems. Cooking Pot will allow you to get at least the Ambusher Crest, if I remember correctly, with Pan, so you can finish off ambushers easier. Aerial Warfare allows your Firelight unit, which is basically Ekko, to do a lot of extra damage with this augment, so this is like a must click. And Find Your Center is very powerful on Ekko as well because it will empower him in the center of the board. Loot Explosion, it's not really a must click because you have to kind of like kill units with this augment, and most of the time early game, you're not going to be killing killing units with Camille too, I would say. Unless you just have like all items and a bunch of like ambusher units, then you can. But Loot Explosion would be better, I would say, as like a second or third augment. If you get a strong Camille early game, you can take this if you want as a first augment. Mace's Will allows you to get a lot of stats, and you get a glove, which is what you need to make a lot of Hodges. Speaking of making what you need, Pandora's items is really good to have everyone on the board to have Hodges, since you kind of need that. Pair of Fours is really good for this board specifically, since you only play 2 4-cost units, and it powers Ekko and Garen really strong. Piercing Lotus is just a good meta augment overall because you get Armor Shred and Magic Resist Shred by like 20%, and it's a weaker version-ish of like Last Whisper or Static Shiv since they give 30%, but this is still pretty good, and it gives you crit to your ability as well. Even though Ambusher already allows you to crit on your ability, having more crit doesn't hurt. And then healing augments such as Overheal, Health as well, and Sated Spellweaver is all really good because you kind of need that since you're playing frontline carry, so he needs to sustain and lifesteal everything back. The augment pile order will always be augment first, so if you see these 2 augments, just click on it. If not, then Econ as a first or second augment because you need to hit level 8 as fast as you can, and you kind of need to hit 2 level 2 echoes kinda for most of the time. If not, item augment is always good because you need a lot of items on this board, or if not, combat augments such as these healing ones are really good as well. If you don't know which combat augment to take, always take item or econ is always the way to go. For our anomalies, you have no other choice but put it on Ekko only. And there's 2 different versions you can play him. You can play him full damage, where he can just one-shot everything with invisibility, so he doesn't get aggroed, and he has a higher chance to crit higher, which makes his ability one-shot even higher. Combat story, most of the time you will be low HP, so this anomaly is actually going to be really good for that, since you're going to be probably like 30-40 HP playing this comp. You gain more amp, which makes Ekko one-shots. Energy absorption is an okay anomaly, because most of the time he might be the last one left standing, so what this one does is, if every unit dies, or like any one unit that dies, they gave their AP to Ekko, so he can power up his ability even more. For the tank version, Bulwark is very, very powerful on Ekko. What this anomaly does is you gain a lot of armor and magic resist if you're above 50% HP, and since he's lifestealing every single time, he will be consistently above 50% HP for most of the game. Mage armor is not too bad either because it converts your AP into like defense stats. And giant size is not too bad since you get 1000 HP, so he lasts longer in fights. So you can take either tank anomaly or damage anomaly, whichever one you want. The playstyle you want to play this at is at high tempo, or you can lose streak. But basically we want a fast 8. And this is for win streaking. So if you want to lose streak, just skip this part until we make it down to the stage 3-2. But for win streaking is at stage 2-1, you want to level to 4. The reason why you want to do this is because you have higher chance of better shops, and on top of it, you can throw an extra unit out to have a better board. At stage 2-3, always make intervals of 10 gold, like 10, 20, 30 gold. If you don't, you're going to be poor for the rest of the game. If you have more than like intervals of 14 gold, like 14, 24, 34, you can pre-level to 5, so it looks like this. The reason why you do this, because once you hit after carousel, you come back, you have a level 5 shop. But if you don't want to do this, it's fine. You can hit level 5 at 2-4 instead to hit level 5. I just would rather do this if you have the extra 4 gold to do it, since you can have the level 5 shop here. And then at stage 2-6, make intervals again of 10 gold, like 10, 20, 30, 40 gold. Again, like stage 2-3, if you don't do this, you're gonna be super, super poor. At stage 3-2, hit level 6, and then if you're lose streaking, since you didn't level a single time, at stage 3-2, always hit level 6 here. The reason why you want to do this is because you want to tempo with the lobby, meaning that you be as strong as the lobby, and you have better shop odds later on down the line, because once you hit stage 3-7, or even earlier, you can hit level 7, at stage 4-2, or even 4-1, which is more common now, level to 8, and then roll for your board. That's basically about it to play the fast 8, which is high tempoing. And that's it for the comeback demon comp Ekko. If you have any questions, or if you don't understand something, just let me know in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer to the best of my capabilities. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.